Hi guys, Lou Antonio here. I've done over 10 million in e-com sales. I've worked with multiple brands across multiple sectors in e-com. And in this video, I'm going to show you 3 best practice ways to lower your MOQs when starting a new brand or coming to scale up an existing brand. So first and foremost, why is this important? The reason this is important is because if you're starting a new company or even if you're an established brand and you have sales, and I'm not talking necessarily about dropshipping here, this can be when you're buying your own inventory. The key is always to start small and then scale. The thing is, you do not want, particularly so in the beginning, you do not want to commit too much cash to inventory because you need to be able to cover and leverage your downside. If you spend 10, 20, 30K buying stock and you have no idea how to sell it yet, this can be a huge liability and a massive stressor. So it's really important that you get the sequence right and you follow the 3 tips I'm going to show you in this video to make sure you're leveraging and boxing off your downside, and then you're able to use whatever resource or network or experience you have to speak and directly negotiate with your suppliers so that you can start with very low minimum order quantities. So just to tell you my story, so my first brand was a sports nutrition company, and I literally started with nothing. Like, I think I was like negative cash in the bank at the time. So when I first came up with the idea, I came in at a very poor negotiating position because I'd never run a company before. The product itself didn't exist, so it was going to require quite a lot of time and effort on the manufacturer side of things, particularly so in the food industry, because that's what I found out is that it's very slow. These companies generally only want to deal with big, regular, repeat orders, and we're talking like 100, 200,000 pieces every quarter. So when you come in with no experience, you've never run a brand before, the product's going to take a lot of time in R&D, which is research and development, to even bring it into existence. From the manufacturer side, it's a big risk. It's going to take a lot of time, particularly so if they're working with you and they're not charging you for the consulting side of things. So they have all of the power. Okay. I remember when I started, I phoned, I think it was 52 or 53 manufacturers, and these guys are really hard to find. They're not listed in the yellow pages. They don't really have websites because they're manufacturing. They don't do digital marketing typically, and they just have their maybe 10 or 15 key repeat clients. So finding them is very difficult. And out of those 52 or 53, I was only able to actually start negotiating and speak to them. It was 50 basically. 50 out of the 53 were like, no, won't touch you, don't want to work with you, too much risk, it's going to take too much time, it's never been done before, it's not worth our time. And the 2 that I ended up kind of shortlisting who were actually willing to work with us was basically everything I learned from phoning that first 50 as to what not to say and how to not negotiate. I was able to figure out and do a deal with both of them, but we ended up only going with 1. But the reason we had 2, I'll talk about in this video. And it's something you can learn from, and you can avoid making the same mistakes that I did. And this will hopefully save you a ton of cash and a hell of a lot of time, okay? So this is what I did. This is how you can do it too. There's 3 things. First one is relationship building. All right. The principle behind relationship building is that people buy from people. Okay. They want to buy from a faceless corporation. They're probably getting, I don't know, 10, 20 emails every day from speculative new entrepreneurs wanting to do deals with them or coming up with this new random product that they have to be able to vet and get through, okay? So one really easy way for you to do it is to actually pick up the phone and speak to them directly instead of just sending the usual contact us form online, because you're just one of many. There's no way for you to stand out, okay? Once you're on the phone with them, yeah, this is your opportunity for them, or for you to get them to buy into you. This is where you're able to layer in your credibility and you give them context, because they need to buy into who you are and what the idea is, which means that you need to pitch it and sell it to them. And looking back, when I was speaking with my manufacturers, this is back in 2015, 2016, so quite a while ago, what I realized was the ones that actually took the conversation and were happy to kind of meet up were ones who actually believed in me. Okay, they bought very much into my vision, my background, and it wasn't just, here, I want to do this, can you do it, yes or no? It wasn't a binary conversation. I learned that, okay, these guys are people and we need to relationship build with them. We need to get trust, credibility. This is really what this is your vision. that's what you're doing, because it's going to take a lot of work. It's high risk for them. There's no guarantee of return. They don't even know that you have money, okay? Because for all they know, you're just time wasting, or you're just information gathering. So if you sell them on the vision, you show them your plan, you come to them with a business plan. This is how we're going to fund it. This is how much we're going to need. Here are the projections for year 1, year 2, year 3. So this is actually going to be a really good contract for you. These are the type of things that fall in your favor. And this is what's going to both capture their attention and also give a much higher likelihood that these guys are going to want to work with you, because it's not about you just working with them. They also have to want to work with you. And manufacturing in e-com is so important, because without manufacturing, you have nothing to sell. And then even if you do get, or when you get to a sizable scale, you're solely reliant on these manufacturers to be able to produce and output stock at the right levels for you to actually be able to sell. So again, just making sure that these guys know, like, and trust you. And of course, from your side, you're also vetting them to make sure how their communication is. Are they getting straight back to you? Are they listening to what you're saying? How's the attention to detail? Are these guys just in it for kind of a quick buck? Are they legitimate? So it's kind of a two-way thing, okay? So if you can do this and get them to buy into you, this is always going to be the first thing. And again, it's super easy, particularly so if you're personable and they like you, okay? So second one, the most important one. Second one is negotiating, okay? So this will tie in with the third one as well, but you need to be able to have something to leverage them against, all right? And understanding the laws of negotiation. It's very much, if you take a macro approach, he who's most willing to walk away generally gets the deal, okay? So it's not coming across as too desperate. And then I'll write it on here as well, just so we can refer to them both. Like the third one is basically just having because having alternate suppliers lined up will give you the power with which to negotiate. And again, just being very aware of not coming across as desperate, and also being hyper sensitive to the tonality, whether that's your tone on the phone or tone on emails. It's a kind of mix of match of both, of like, listen guys, I really want to work with you, you're the one, but I have another supplier who's going to do 500 units, you want 1,500, and they're actually going to do it for a better price. So, I mean, you're just coming at it in a way where it's progressive, but then also you're kind of dangling the carrot so they know now you have options. And all businesses is generally leverage, right? This is going to give you leverage. It's also, if we look at business continuity, having an alternate supplier is actually really important anyway, irrespective of which one you go with. If you're able to get two and play them off with each other, the thing that you really want to properly box off downside is, if anything does happen to manufacturer A, I have a replacement lined up ready to go that I already have a good relationship with anyway. So like, if I don't know, if they go insolvent or there's problems with product or whatever, you have a plan B lined up. So it's always good to have that anyway. But once you have this, you use this as part of your negotiating tactic when speaking with manufacturing A to say, okay, this is what we got with these guys. But you're not approaching it in an aggressive manner. It's basically, you're trying to work with them. I want to work with you, manufacturer A. However, I've got these guys, they're doing lower MOQs, their pricing is better. So what can we do? Okay. If you really want to be, and I'm not encouraging you to do this, but you can technically make some of this stuff up as well, but I wouldn't encourage you to do that, particularly so because you're trying to relationship build and add trust and credibility. But yeah, just trying to be as transparent as possible is key. And what you're looking for really is just leverage, okay? You have a backup plan, you're not coming up as desperate. And then at the same time, because you have a plan B, you're also willing to walk away, which makes the guys obviously way more interested, because now all of a sudden, it's not just them who want to work with you, there's another one. It's one of their competitors who's potentially going to have this winning contract because you've sold them the vision about where you're going to take this brand, how you're going to fund it, okay? It's like all basic business knowledge, but you can use these three things to lower your MOQ, and it's just so important in the beginning to do that, because you have to box off that downside. You do not want to have to commit too much cash to inventory. If you're drop shipping, this is also fine. Dropshipping is a little bit different than obviously going and building a proper brand, and I'm hoping that before you go into doing your own custom development or formulation that you've actually validated your market first. That's really important. Just don't go straight into this. I have a separate video on this which I'll link on the screen. But just to give you a live and real example of this, so I have a customer, a student, sorry, who is at this stage at the moment, and he has basically 2 manufacturers lined up. The product for both is similar. Okay, again, we'll just say we've got manufacturer A and manufacturer B. Okay, manufacturer A is charging $14 or pounds per unit, and they want 500. And manufacturer B is charging, I think it's about 9 per unit, but their MOQ is 1500. So it's a bit of a dilemma of who do we go with. So what we end up doing is these guys have the better quality. They also have the lower MOQ. And the principle here is if you're stuck between this decision, it's not always just chasing the money, okay? The key is being able to, let me get this right. The key is not just chasing the money. The key is to, how was I going with this? Pause. Okay, the key is not chasing money, the key is to, wait. What did we end up doing? We leverage one against the other. Okay. The key is to ensure that we're still able to order as little as possible. Obviously, we're always going to want the price down, but the reason that we're doing this is in the beginning, it is okay to pay more for less, right? The thing that you want to make sure is when you're setting the vision and strategy is that there is scope for this. If you come back and you order more, and this is again a conversation you have to have with your manufacturers, which is called the scale of economy, is okay. The first run, we're doing a small production run, but the second one, we're going to double. The one after that, we're going to triple. Okay, so you're basically planning out and you're forecasting and you're selling them this vision. So in the beginning, it's okay. We'll pay a little bit more to have lower MOQ because it lowers the risk from your side. It's going to hit your margin, but actually taking a hit on the margin in the beginning it's okay. It's not a problem. But when you get to scale, like the difference between paying 14 per unit and 9 is significant. It's like $5, okay? Times that by 2,000 to 3,000 or 10,000 unit order, that's a lot of money, okay? So what we did in this particular situation is we did exactly what we said here. We had the alternate supplier, we leveraged them, we showed them, listen guys, manufacturer A, we're like you, product is great, MOQs are fantastic, but it's a little bit high for us. Here's our quote from manufacturer B, they're doing it for 9, it's the same quality. Is there a way we can maybe sacrifice features, or what can we do in the price and we get it done here and now, we get the deposit down and we get this moving as quickly as possible. And we actually got them down to, I think it was about 11 or 12 per unit, which is a win. And also we're only doing 500, which lowers the risk, okay? This is like a real life example just from this week, and it's something that you can learn from, because I know there's not a huge amount of information out there. When I started, I struggled with this because I didn't have any experience, didn't have anyone to call on. So when you're coming up against this, when you're first placing your purchase order, watch this video, okay? Pay attention to some of the key principles in here because it's universal. It doesn't really matter which industry you're in, but remember, you're the one in the driving seat and you cannot be dictated to by your supplier, okay? If you're in that position, that's a really bad business to be in because you're kind of stuck and they can leverage you, okay? Remember, this is not why we get into business. We get into business so that the business serves us. And a lot of the time, in the beginning, it's about being diplomatic and ensuring that it's sustainable, but then it's also enjoyable. And the best way to do that is just to have good, solid, strong bonds and relationships with our suppliers. So, hope this video was useful. If you have any comments, stick them below in the comment section. If you'd like to work with me direct to help scale your own brand, links in the description, and I'll see you on the call.